A few years ago, I came across this comic by Sarah Anderson. And I laughed because we've all been there. But then I realized something else about the comic. Her brain wasn't her, it was sitting beside her, which made me stop and think, wait, if the brain is separate from her, then maybe my thoughts aren't actually me either. Maybe I'm just the one noticing them. And let me tell you, that depiction completely changed the way I looked at my mind. By the way, I'm Laura. I'm just a girl on a journey trying to heal and learning to trust myself while sharing what I've learned along the way. And for years, I thought that healing meant eventually my anxious thoughts would just disappear. That my inner critic would finally be quiet. That fear would stop showing up. So every time those thoughts came back, I thought I was failing. But the moment I saw that comic, I realized I'm not my thoughts. And then everything shifted because suddenly I wasn't judging myself for having them anymore. I didn't have to believe every thought. I didn't have to fight every thought. I could simply notice them. And instead of criticizing myself and saying, why am I still thinking this? I started saying, oh, there's that voice again. Because I like to see the mind like a movie set. Every day, the cast shows up. Fear arrives with worry right behind them. Then there's the inner critic and the perfectionist. And then there's courage, compassion, curiosity, hope, intuition. But they're usually over there standing in the corner. And some of these cast members are incredibly loud. And some barely say a word. But they're all just characters on the set. And I did this visualization once where I met all of the members of the cast in a cafe. And what surprised me was that fear looked like a younger version of me. The perfectionist, it wasn't even my voice, it was my mother's. But the most memorable was my inner critic. She was this badass teenage version of me. She was wearing this black leather jacket, and she was sitting in the back of the cafe with her chair tipped, her feet on the table. Her arms were crossed, and she had a snide remark to everything. So, naturally, I nicknamed her the bitch in the back. So, every time she had something to say, like, don't do that, you'll embarrass yourself, people are judging you, you're not ready, I'd say to myself, oh, there's the bitch in the back again. And I would clap back at her. It honestly felt like I was playing ping pong with her every single day. She'd say something, I'd argue back. She'd come back louder. I'd try to prove her wrong. And we did this for over 2 years. And then one day, something clicked. I stopped asking, how do I make her shut up? And started asking, why is she so desperate to be heard? And suddenly, I realized something there. She never actually wanted to control me. She has just been terrified that something bad would happen if she didn't. And when I realized that, my heart broke for her. Because underneath all of that attitude, she was just scared. and she was only trying to protect me. I mean, every warning, every criticism, every scary prediction was all her way of trying to keep me safe. So instead of fighting her, I tried something different. I did another visualization, but this time it was just the two of us in the cafe. She was in her usual spot, feet up on the table, arms crossed. She looked ready to fire off another sarcastic comment. But instead of arguing, I simply told her, "I know you're just trying to protect me. Thank you. But I've got it from here." And I really believe that's all she needed to hear. And she didn't disappear, but she quieted down quite a bit. Because for the first time, she felt acknowledged. And I continued to work on myself and started to listen more to each cast member and acknowledge their concerns. And that's when I finally understood what that comic had been trying to show me all along. See, just like the brain wasn't the girl, I realized I wasn't my thoughts. I wasn't a member of the cast. I was the one noticing them. I am the director. And this awareness didn't remove the cast, because, well, let's face it, they'll always be there. But it changed who gets the leading role. See, fear can still show up. My inner critic can still audition. Doubt still reads its lines, but I'm the director, and I decide who gets the microphone. I decide who the camera follows, and I decide whose story we're actually telling. So the more I listened, without judgment, the more I realized that those voices, they weren't random. They all seemed to be protecting something. And some of them had been with me for decades. Some of them stretched all the way back to childhood. They all have a story, and they all have a reason for existing. And once I started to look at those stories and understand them, everything started to change again. And that's what I want to explore with you next. Because this awareness is only the first step. Understanding that story that's underneath those voices, that's where the real healing began for me. And if anything that I said here resonated with you, please make sure to like this and subscribe so you don't miss out on what's to come. And if you had any aha moments yourself, I'd love to hear about them. Please leave me a comment, share with me. And as always, thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.